welcome to another edition of Rugby League Back Chat. Hope you're safe, hope you're well, hope you're keeping up to date with Rugby League. We'll try and keep you informed for the next hour or so, along with some funny tales as ever, as we've been doing over the last few weeks. Now, we did have a request to get more people on from Lancashire. Unfortunately, I don't like to associate very much with people from Lancashire, so I've picked basically the only two people that I know from there. So welcome to the show, Ryan Brierley from Hull KR and the Leigh Centurions head coach, John Duffy. Gents, how is it? I'll start with you, Ryan. How is it on the dark side at the minute?
Yeah, all going well. Obviously, trying to meet up with a few of the boys, just kind of keep training and stuff. And yeah, it's a tough time for everybody. So just trying to stay as positive as we can and keep getting that work done. Because no one knows when we'll be back, or could be tomorrow, could be next week. So just trying to remain positive and help people out where we can.
John, you've started rocking a new haircut. Talk us through it.
This isn't my fault. This is the coronavirus's fault. This it's absolutely ridiculous. So I'm about to part it.
I think you look better for it.
It's going past my nose now, so I'm about to part it up.
I think you're rocking it fairly well. Better than Ryan, who's had to put a baseball cap on to hide his monstrosity.
Cover mine up, mate.
On a serious note, gents, we've still no rugby, obviously. Some light at the end of the tunnel, hopefully, with Bundesliga starting and talks of other stuff going on. However, the Championship, I think that's probably the most pressing thing at the minute. It seems like there's a majority that don't want it to restart. There is opposition to that, as we know. John, your owner, Derek Beaumont, is very, very supportive of doing everything we can to get the game back on. Where do you think we stand at the minute, John? From your position, of what you know, do you think we will see some Championship rugby again, or is it just looking like it's going to be, there's too much against it, too many hurdles to jump, so on and so forth?
Well, first of all, I think personally we've got to get back playing as soon as we can. It's a good model, the Championship. There's quite a few teams having a good go at it this year. Trying to get promotion, us being one of those. But we understand it's got to be a safe environment. Everything's got to be done correctly with the government guidelines. But at the minute, there's a bit too much negativity for me in what's coming back, with clubs not wanting to, do all they can to get back up and running, which is, pretty poor from my point of view. I think we've all got to be doing the best we can to try and get the greatest game going.
Ryan, we aren't financial experts. I'm certainly not. You might be, but 72% of clubs have said they don't want to play again while the job retention scheme furloughing is still in place. From a player's point of view, we're talking 72% there. What's the percentage of players not wanting to start again compared to wanting to get back on the field?
Well, I've not spoke to anyone who doesn't want the season to start again. Rugby league players, like I'm sure Duffs will know, you just want to play rugby, don't you? So there'd be no players supporting that 72%. Like, they might do it to appease their owners and appease the clubs, but deep down there'd be nobody who doesn't. Why would you not want to play? It just seems daft, doesn't it? Why would you not want to play? But I think it's a tough one because you've got, for example, like your teams like Batley and Dewsbury, they're not fighting to be promoted to Super League, are they? They're not. That's not their ambition. That's no disrespect. That's not their ambition to play in Super League. Whereas Leigh Centurions, Toulouse, people like that, you can't take the reward from them when they've already spent the budget or recruited on the basis of trying to be promoted. You can't say halfway through, right, the league's done. And if you was going to go down that route, you've got to still reward the teams who, for example, Leigh haven't lost a game yet. I know you can talk about there's only been 6 games, 5 games play, whatever. They've not lost a game. So you've still got to reward the teams who are actually ambitious and actually want to progress in their journey. Do you know what I mean? I just think it's wrong, man. You shouldn't be allowed to do it, but I'm not the main man, am I?
Try to sit in the middle of this. You've got clubs who are saying that they can't financially afford to play behind closed doors, which you can understand. There are going to be financial implications of that. For a lot of clubs, their only revenue the main revenue is through the gates. That's understandable. At the same time, you've got clubs who, as you rightly say, have put a lot of money into this. You know, we're not talking just a few quid here and there. We're talking a significant amount. And I think the annoyance from, without speaking on Derek's behalf, but he doesn't think that clubs are doing enough to try and get back on the field. It's a bit of a we can't do rather than we can do sort of attitude. John, I think you kind of touched on that. Is that where the issue lies at the minute? That there's probably, from the club's point of view, who want to get back on the field, there's too much, we can't do it because of this, rather than we could try and do it by doing this sort of thing.
Yeah, and there's no one trying to be innovative. Like, you know, Derek's put something across to all the clubs with regarding, you know, viewing the games behind closed doors, trying to get some revenue on that. But everyone, you know, it seems like a big percentage are not too bothered. But it's not about the clubs, and, you know, we've got the fans and the game as a whole as well, that we've got, you know, a duty of care to get back running. I'd hate to see anything happen to the whole game after all this.
What could we do? Could we hypothetically arrange a smaller competition with clubs who do want to play? And could you, I guess more importantly as well, form a competition that would be seen as being substantial enough to still allow promotion to Super League? John, do you think that that's a realistic proposition that the sport may have to look at?
I think so, yeah. You've got to look at everything, really. And, you know, if the clubs that have got ambition and they want to do something, you know, maybe put them into a smaller league. I don't know how that would work. But, you know, there are clubs who are fighting to get back going and want to do it, you know, today. But it's just everything else around it. You know, with lads in our league being part-time and having another job, you know, the safety of them going to work, then coming into a rugby environment. You know, you just got to be have everything right. You know, there's talk of the COVID officers at each club, making sure they're doing the right things before the players enter the stadium or the training facilities. But it's not, when you look at the guidelines, it's not too hard to do. But yeah, I think that revenue one's a big one for most of the clubs in our league. You know, it really hits them hard when they don't get that coming in. So, you know, looking at other ways to bring that in would be the showstopper and getting it back going.
Agreed. Well, hopefully there's a resolution, but we don't want to talk too serious for too long. So I'm going to move it on and talk about something else that's a bit serious that started coming out the last couple of days. The salary cap. A proposal tabled to reduce the cap by about 15%, which is I think it's basically £300,000 reduction back to 1.8 million. Ryan, asking a player who's earned Mackie money all his life would probably be the one who'd take a hit on this. He's probably the wrong person to ask. But on a serious note, what's your initial thoughts about the prospect of reducing the cap by £300,000?
I think I know the rule around obviously the young players obviously being slashed there, 15 grand minimum fee. At first I was like, well, you can't do that. When I got it explained to me, it was just for this year. It kind of makes sense, because if you're trying to drag reserve players up and then having to pay them 15 grand to goes on the cap, and it kind of defeats the object of what we're trying to do. Fair enough. When you talk about bringing the whole salary cap down, I bet there's not many teams who spend 1.8 anyway. Like, I don't really understand, unless you know more about it. Like, I don't understand why them teams who don't spend 1.8 anyway would want to bring it. I don't really understand how it affects them. So there's only real big clubs who it would really affect. Obviously they have to release a few players or whatever over when it goes over that 1.8. But I still don't understand the benefit from the majority of clubs wanting to bring it down to 1.8 when they wouldn't spend it anyway.
Well, to tell you the arguments from both sides. The arguments of those wanting it reduced is that the repercussions of COVID-19 mean that clubs simply aren't going to be able to spend up to 2.1 million, other than a handful of clubs who you assume still will have heavy backers. They are arguing that for competition integrity, to make sure there aren't clubs that are blowing others out of the water in what they're spending, it should be brought down so everyone's sort of playing on an even playing field. The other argument was that because we've got the government loan, it's proof that the sport's in need and that it needs to come down. Beyond that as well, there is a belief among some clubs that the repercussions of COVID-19 are going to last for a long time. So, no one's going to be able to spend as they have been doing for many, many years. So that's their argument. The argument on the other side is that, well, 2.1 is a maximum salary cap. You're not obliged to spend that. So if you can't spend that, don't spend that. They're also saying that it's bad for the profile of the game if you bring it down because it looks like a backward step. So there were the two things. And the other thing that the clubs who don't want it to be reduced are saying, we've budgeted off 2.1 million with all the contracts we've handed out. So how do you plan on sorting out that? So they're the two arguments. John, having listened to all that, what do you think about it all?
I understand, they've got the loan now coming off the government, and the repercussions of that could be huge. But also the other side as well, where if you're not spending anywhere near it, it doesn't affect the club. So I think they've just got to come up with a balanced view on it, and make sure it's sustainable and good for each individual club moving forward. But yeah, I don't see it does look like we're taking a backward step for me if we go that way.
I think we'll leave it there. I feel like we've all got too serious and talking about things that are just going to cause arguments. Let's talk about some more light-hearted fun. Ryan, you're a bit of a social media darling, aren't you? You get yourself wherever you can on this show. He rings me up asking to come on the show when possible.
Oh yeah.
You've sort of taken up a bit of video work on your social media feed. You've got rubbing shoulders with Dan Carter now, aren't you?
I won't say that.
Oh, come on.
No, you wouldn't.
I'm buttering him up. Let him have his moment.
He commented on the pod. It was pretty cool to be honest. Like, I'm not a rugby union. I don't really like it, so it's not someone who I don't know, idolise or grew up watching or whatever like that. He's just a cool person for me. I just thought he was pretty cool. Obviously, he's a well-known star in that game, but it's probably out of boredom, just trying to create some content. And I understand daft, but I know Duff's on Instagram like all about Boris Johnson. I find it hilarious. So like, I think he's just trying to find ways of keeping people occupied and just trying to find content.
Have you had any stick for saying you're his mate?
No, nothing. Because I'm not his mate. So no, I just found it interesting, just trying to do different things, and also trying to get out of the house, and did a bit of videoing around the kicking tees and stuff. And I think it's obviously a big part of the game now, goal kicking, and because games are a lot tighter, and just trying to improve on that. Really, like I said in the video, I'm probably not a natural kicker, so I just have to probably work harder than the most natural one, just to try and get any sort of consistency in that part of my game. So it's something I just try really hard at. So I just thought I'd document it, and obviously it went down pretty well. And it's not something I'm going to follow up on in terms of doing a weekly vlog. It's just something what I found some of that nothing in. It was hard work editing it all. So I feel sorry for all you coaches out there who have to edit and clip. It took forever. So it's not something I'll be getting straight into anytime soon.
You've been getting virtual kicking coaching as well, haven't you?
Yeah, and like I said, touched on earlier, I'm not the most natural footballer.
He didn't kick one for me last year.
Yeah, again,
I'm surprised you even gave him kicking duties.
There was only me left.
Really zip hanging off. That's why. But no, and that again, just trying to get better really, and just trying to get. Whilst we're obviously in this lockdown, there's not a lot you can do. I'd love to be able to work on my tackle technique. I love that part of the game. I love my defence and stuff. So,
behave yourself.
Unfortunately, lockdown.
Have you heard this?
The turnstile.
Is that his nickname? The turnstile.
No comment, pal.
I've never heard that one before. Oh, on a serious note, the tackling. You have actually been working on.
Don't ask Ryan about tackling.
I'm being serious. I'm being serious. You can see it in your stats. Normally there were no missed tackles because you had someone doing them for you. Like Greg Worthington's body must be totally ruined having tackled for you all his career. But you're actually producing a fair amount at the minute. It looks like something you've had to work on.
That's not him. They've got his name wrong.
Yeah.
When they're in D, he's the one with the flag on the touchline.
No, it's I won't be able to answer this being seriously, but it's something I've had to work on definitely. And when I first went into Wilkinson Rovers, it was probably the first thing Tony said to me, and he kind of stuck with his word as well. If I'd made my tackles and made it slower, he'd pick me. So fortunately, I've been picked every week, so I must be doing something right. So it's been good. I've also enjoyed myself, and it's something I've understood I've had to do, and obviously the people around me have helped massively, and my back rows and centre either side kind of protect me more than you think. So it's a game I'd like to say I have improved. And
what are you weighing in at now, Kez?
87 now. 87 kilo. I'm a big human being, you see now. That's what it is.
What have you played at most of your career?
When I first played with
62.
Duff, I was 78 kilo.
60. No wonder they ran at you.
I know. So, 72 I was when I played with Duff.
Well, let's end on that funny note. Quick break, and we'll be back for more chat, more laughs, more giggles. We'll be right back. Welcome back to this week's Rugby League Back Chat. We're going to turn our attention to John Duffy now because in the interval, Ryan got a bit upset that we pointed out that his defence wasn't very good. So we'll go to John. I don't know if this is a record that is still intact. If it is, looking at you, it's been intact a long time. But you were or did hold the record for the youngest ever player to play in Super League, didn't you?
I did.
Does it still hold?
No, Scotty Moore beat me. He took it off me when he played for Saints a few years later. I was still doing my exams at the time, and when I got the call to jump in the first team squad at Warrington.
How old were
you? 16, just finishing my exams off. And John Duffy was the coach at Warrington at the time. I did pre-season. I think there was in the change of going from winter to summer that year.
Wow, show your age.
Yeah, and there are a few older players, Martin Dermott, Paul Hume, Steve McCurry, people like that, in the ranks at Warrington, and got a few injuries over the first couple of rounds, and the call came. Never looked back since.
I'm not going to. Look, I'm sure you can hold your own. But going into a dressing room like that, 16-year-old kid, you must have got some grief at the time.
I weren't allowed in.
You weren't allowed in the dressing room.
No, I had to go in the away changing room for training. But I was allowed in obviously on game day. But yeah, it was a lot different back then than these lads like Ryan coming through now, just taking anyone's peg as they come in.
Oh.
So yeah, it was.
I had to sit on your peg.
Yeah, it was very intimidating back then. It was a different world altogether to what it is now. It's a lot more professional, and there's a lot more dedicated athletes nowadays than finishing training and going to the pub or the betting office.
I can't get my head around that. So you were training with them, you were playing with them, but you weren't allowed in the changing room other than on game day.
The young lads got changed next door, and you had to, you had to work your way in really with your performances and the way you were.
And how were they like? Were you in training? Because I imagine, 16-year-old lad, you can sort of show them up, you can. You can batter.
I was cocky. I got a few slaps at training.
Off who?
Or different people. Brendan Tutor. But there's a few out there. Gary Chambers used to give me a bit of stick as well. Andy Courier, if you remember him, who played at Widnes. Rich Years. Yumi. There's a few older boys. They hated young lads coming in. And I was cocky as well. So that didn't help me.
How did the debut go?
We played London Broncos at Wilderspool. And we got beat. We weren't in the best of form, but we got beat. I ended up with the man of the match, but we got beat. I think Martin, or I don't know whether it was Martin or Sean Edwards, arrived in a helicopter before the game.
Hey,
with Richard Branson. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't remember any of that.
So it was it's a different game. It was a different game altogether back then than what it is now. It's far more explosive and physical nowadays than back then. It's a bit grubbier back then. There's a lot of fighting going on. I remember Graham Bradley, I think that was 98. He gave me one of the best elbows you'll ever see and got red carded. But you just see that young lad and just bully mentality back then on the younger lads.
Is the standard of the game better now, or was it better back in the day?
It's a lot better now. I think it was a lot more exciting back in the day, just because I don't think anyone was taught to defend the way that we do now. And the detail that goes into both sides of the game now is off the scale from what it was back then. You didn't get taught that much, back then. Other than picking you up on maybe a wrong pass or why have you missed that tackle. No, it's bang, there's your detail. That's what you need to get better at. There are your positives. These are your drills you need to work on. Go and perfect them and add it to your game. It's just a bit more off the coaches back then. It was more, you got to do this, you got to do that. You've got to get both ways now, and the detail that goes into, like I said, both sides of the coin is far more than what it used to be.
Yeah, Ryan, you've just arrived too late. You'd have been playing 40 years ago. You'd have been world class.
Crap now, eh?
I didn't say that. But I'm glad you said that, because I was having a massive argument with my dad about it. He was saying, "Oh, it was way better back then." I said, "I don't think it is at all. I just think they didn't know how to defend then, so it was a lot easier to attack." I'm with you, John. I think excitement levels 100% were better back then, but the art of defence now is, you watch it in comparison. Well, there isn't a comparison, is it? It's just, I don't know about you, Ryan, you'll have watched it, but it's just head and shoulders above now defensively compared to what it was.
Yeah. My dad always texts me when them old games are on and to watch them, and I'll be honest, I've never watched any of them. For me, I know it's really ignorant.
He's too busy with Dan Carter.
Yeah. I just can't get it. I just can't get into him, eh? I just can't watch them old games. It's just not something I could sit and watch. It's like any old football game. It's just something I can't watch. Like even now, like with Dust talking about the detail then, I like the detail of it, a bit of a rugby nerd, so I like to see how someone's broke a defence down, not just like, I saw a try of Martin Offiah the other day on like the highlights, and he kind of just like run round everyone and score, and it was just like a bit like under 10s when you just give it the quickest player and he runs round. And brilliant, like what a great try, but I prefer to see how a set of people, so like Cronk, Smith, Slater have actually broke a team down maybe a couple of plays before. I'm a bit of a nerd like that, so I like
you just said Martin Offiah was rubbish.
I didn't say it was rubbish.
It's
got a great try, but it was not. If you just quick, it's like me. It's like me back in the day. I'd have been the next Martin Offiah, wouldn't I?
I've played with Martin.
Someone clip that.
He's absolutely brilliant.
Did you? I didn't know you played with him.
Yeah, I played a year at Salford with him in 99 or 2000, I think it was.
What was it like? What was he like then?
It was great, really good with all the young lads, bringing gear in and stuff from, he knew we were on a pittance like back then. So he'd bring us stuff in and look after us. It was good. It was good on the field as well. He's obviously at the back end of his career there.
But what was Billy Boston like, Dust, when you played with him?
He's all right, Billy. I've had a few pints with Billy in his pub at Wigan. But no, Offiah. We went to an army camp with Salford, and it was actually in season because we was absolutely rubbish. We were getting beat every week. So an Aussie fella who was coaching us, John Duffy, he took us to Catterick, I think it was, and we did some stuff in the day, a bit of shooting, and then the lads were asking if we could have a beer after we finished everything, and he loved the beer, Abs. He absolutely loved the beer. So we come back. He must have been to one of the army guys, and they took us to the sergeant's mess, and it was 50p a drink. And he says, "Right, you've got 1 hour. You've got 1 hour, and that is it. You're all going back to bed then." Anyway, Martin didn't come. He didn't drink. He weren't having a drink, so he stayed in. So we all go to this sergeant's mess. We're ploughing it down, trying to get as many in this hour as we can. And the hour's up, and Arv says, "Come on, boys, we're all going back now." Few had sneaked off and gone out with the younger army lads to their mess, and we all went back. Had a massive, big toilet rolls full of water and everything, thrown them at everyone round the things. And I've launched one, and it's just missed Offiah's head. Whacked on the back of his headboard here. I thought, oh my God, he's going to kill me. So he gets up with his wristbands on, launches this ashtray. Boom, it come flying. It would have killed me if it would have hit me. It come flying past my head and hit the wall and smashed everywhere. I thought, I can't be doing that again.
Can't believe that. You learn something new every day. Martin Offiah, can you imagine? What would you have done if you hit Martin Offiah with that?
Oh, I'd have been upset the day. It's because I glugged about 6 pints in an hour. So I thought it was impossible.
Well, he certainly scored some. He certainly saw some good tries back in the day. An absolute legend of the game. And Ryan, you obviously don't rate him very highly if his tries weren't all that. So what's the best try you've ever scored?
Oh, I just said I'd rather see like a real technical made try. I'm not saying he wasn't any good. He clearly was good, wasn't he? Like, you know what I mean?
Don't backtrack, right?
It was. You know what I'm saying is like you. I picked my all-time Super League team, whatever, and I think I picked Tommy Makinson. I just think watching him and his finishes, I don't know. When you talk about levels of the game and stuff, and like, or could someone like Martin Offiah finish like Tommy Makinson does, or Tom Johnson does, or maybe, I don't know, but it's not something I'd kind of remember Martin Offiah by. So just, again,
it's hard comparing generations, isn't it? It's hard because the game was different, the way you played were different. How can you compare Martin Offiah to Tommy Makinson? Because Martin Offiah were never told to jump and leap and hit the flag and got it down, were it? And likewise, Tommy's probably never been able to have the space to run around the full team like under 10s, like you said. So how do you compare the two, I suppose?
Yeah, it's a tough one, and I suppose, like I say, it's probably a matter of opinion, isn't it? Like whichever you thought was, even like now, my dad was on about Davy Watkins for Salford. I don't think I've ever seen Davy Watkins play. But
as well.
Davy Watkins, I don't have a clue.
Don't start, come on.
But my first like heroes were like Steve Blakely, Gavin Clinch. Then it went on to obviously Danny Maguire and people like that. So it just got a bit more technical and more thought on how to break teams down and that kind of stuff. So just probably
Blakers couldn't tackle. Clinch used to do his one-on-one ball steal.
Yeah,
I can see where you're coming from now with your game.
Yeah.
You've got the touch judge's flag.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Danny Maguire couldn't tackle as well.
No, Danny Maguire's a legend.
I was going to say, who's backtracking now? Go on then, Ryan. What's the best try you've ever scored? To be fair, you have scored some decent ones in your time.
Cheers, Matt. Thank you. I think my favourite one was probably the one against Featherstone in the grand final, like 2014. That probably my favourite, just because obviously went through a bit of a tough time, obviously losing my nan and stuff that year, and just kind of ended the year how I kind of wanted to. So that was probably my favourite one. The best one, probably the Warrington one in the Challenge Cup. It just a bit of a loose ball, and obviously managed to just skin Ratchford like he wasn't there really, but no real biggie. But yeah, that was probably probably the best one I've scored.
What about you, John?
I didn't score. I never scored.
I was going to say I'd be surprised if you actually had one to tell us about.
Kicked. I think my best is a 48 metre drop goal at Salford against Warrington, but I never scored a try.
You never actually scored a single try?
No, I didn't really. I was watching some highlights back last week of 2004 when we got promoted first time for Leigh. I actually forgot how good I was. So I didn't know I could run. I forgot how quick I could run. But no, they were good times. And Derek had just got on board with Leigh back then as well, so he's done it twice now, getting promoted. Yeah. So you can see our frustration of being in lockdown at the minute.
Yeah. Third one, I mean, it looked on the cards. It may still be on the cards. I mean, you've made that transition into coaching, and so far so good. Certainly with Leigh, it's gone really well, hasn't it?
Yeah, obviously Leigh means the world to me. With playing all the years through my career, both at Hilton Park and at the new stadium, which is fantastic facility that we have. And it just means that bit more when you've got that affinity with the place. So last year we kind of just the building blocks and didn't really have much till the back end of the year, whereas being able to bring the likes of Ryan over and players of quality to try and push us that bit further. We always knew the second year we were going to go for it with the plan that we laid out with Derek when we first got together. So that's why we're so frustrated at the minute, because season got off to a really good start, but we all know the Championship's got its big roller coaster throughout the season. It's a great league to watch because there's that many teams going for it, and anything can happen each weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting year already for you. I mean, you've obliterated most teams, haven't you? We'll talk about it a bit more after the break, but it is, as you say, a very, very tough competition.
Yeah, it gets stronger every year. It was since I was playing, it got stronger every year, and you can see that again this year, although we've had good results.
Yeah, indeed. Right, we're going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back for the final part of this week's show. More stories, more funny moments. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the final part of this week's show. I've got a bone to pick with John Duffy, actually, because he was talking about how he couldn't run in the second part of the show. However, he has revealed that he's actually running a marathon. Is that what you said? Running a marathon after this?
Half marathon today, yeah.
Half marathon. Easy day today, is it? Day off.
Yeah. I've entered the Ironman in Lanzarote in October, so I'm just getting going with all my prep now. I did it last year, so it took me 5 days.
Are you serious or not? Ryan, can you fill us in here? Is he having us on?
No, he actually is a bit of a fitness freak, Duff. He loves it. Yeah, when I was training last year, he was always in the gym with us, obviously pushing all the young lads on. So yeah, he's a credit to the new era of coaches, really, like really helping his players getting stuck in. You can't get him off the watt bike. He's just always training as hard as he can.
Thanks, Ryan.
I'm sensing some serious sarcasm here. I can't figure this out.
Mate, I got off the plane at the holiday I had at the end of last year. I couldn't even fasten the belt on the airplane. I was that big.
Is that what coaching does?
Honestly, It's ridiculous. Too much stress.
Is it? I was going to say. I mean, I was going to be nice and not mention it, but you did sign Ryan Brierley. Is that why the weight piled on afterwards?
Yeah, it was his goal kicking. That's why his mates with Dan Carter now.
I actually thought that your goal kicking were all right last year, wasn't it? I thought you'd nailed a few. Seem to remember.
I didn't miss any what I should have got. So Dusty's talking rubbish.
It just cost us a couple of games. That's all, Matt.
We're talking from the touchline here, which I probably.
They should be nailed, pal. If you're doing
anyway.
your reps every week, they should be nailed.
Which game was it? I don't recall.
What else did you want me to practice? I was last off the field every day.
There's a couple more as well. I can't remember. Just that York one sticks in my brain.
I'd already scored 2 that game.
Well, you should have scored that trick, pal. Then you went to that kick at all.
Is it fair to say that
I wasn't your goal kicker? I wasn't your actual goal kicker, remember?
We didn't have a goal kicker last year.
I probably know the answer to this then, but through all the time you've been coaching, which is a fair few years now, is Ryan Brierley not at the top?
For goal kicking?
No, just generally.
No, he's good to be fair. He's got I had an opportunity to play just before I retired myself, and then coach him as well, and the way he's progressed in his career and the way he wants to get better at everything he does. Each time he comes into training, he's always asking questions, asking for footage, watching it with myself, getting his goals for that week, become a real professional from where he started, with the college teams and getting signed over there at Cass to where he is now is, it speaks volumes for himself. And that's all I'm saying about you, Ryan, and you're getting nothing else off me.
You managed 30 seconds then.
As a coach, John, I mean, you've kind of developed a reputation for playing a really expansive brand of rugby. I remember that Swinton team, it was like 40-30 every week. Featherstone, it was the same. I think they'd had John Sharp before, hadn't they? And then you came in and it was a completely different brand of rugby. Same at Leigh. Why? You just sort of talk us through that, how you've got to that point where you want to play that style of rugby.
I think, first of all, you want to have the ball, don't you, as a player? There's nothing worse than being under the pump all the game with defending. And you want to try and express yourself when you do have the ball. So I think at Swinton, with us having a really small team, we didn't have the biggest of teams there and we didn't have the best quality. But I thought through coaching and probably overcoaching that team, we could get a good brand of rugby and have an identity in the league, and we ended up doing that. And then when I went over to Featherstone and met Mark Campbell, he wanted to play expansively as well, and have a good team who could express themselves whenever they wanted to through the game, through the quality. So I ended up with a lot better quality player there. And we were on the right track until I lost both halfbacks with Holmesy at Summer Bash and then Riddy against Leigh at home. So we ended up with no halfbacks for the rest of the season. But I thought it was a real successful season there. And then Leigh last year, we managed to get through that with a really small squad, but with the right coaching and the way we wanted to play the game, we become a real good team for the money we'd spent. And this year it's a bit different. We can dip in and out of playing expansively and being a bit, as the fans had said, boring and getting our percentages up because I've got that quality of player.
I'm not sure they could call you boring. I mean, I think you were averaging about 40 points a game before lockdown, were you?
Oh yeah, but you still get a bit of stick, don't you, along the way?
Don't know. I do struggle to understand this. The whole fan idea. I find it hard to relate to. I'll be honest. Ryan, you spoke about it before to me, like finding it hard to understand where fans are coming from with some of the grief you get on the touchlines. Feel like you can you can never win. How annoying can it be when you think you're doing everything right? You scored a couple of tries, you've nailed that goal line, touchline conversion that you don't normally kick, and you're still getting. Have you ever had that experience of just being completely bemused about the grief you get?
Yeah, it's confusing, and I think what fans probably struggle to understand is when Duff's there talks about like a brand of rugby, it's not he doesn't go into his coaching room and goes, right, we're going to play expansive this week. But there is a method behind it, and there is a lot of without giving his secrets away. Like Duff's is probably the most like detailed coach I've worked with in terms of it, especially his attack with his halfbacks and what you have to get to, what you're doing with the ball, what you're doing with your eyes, how you're manipulating their eyes on you. So I think it's probably a bit disrespectful for fans to say, "Oh yeah, John Duffy, he plays expansive." There's a lot what goes into that. When you talk about what fans say about us players, it hurts that way because it's a case of not knowing or not having the intelligence to understand what we're doing when we are playing. So I know it's hard for fans to understand. They're not in the environment what we are, but there's a lot, and people say, oh, when you play expansive, it's off the cuff, and it's not at all. I think it's couldn't be further from the truth saying off the cuff, because there's a lot of structure, a lot of method behind that.
What's the worst experience you've had of fan abuse, whether it be your own fans or other fans, rival fans?
Featherstone away is always a tough one. They are like spit at you and throw coins at you and stuff. That's not great. I've never really had someone really like point in my face and hammer me. Just a general consensus, like say your Featherstone away, Batley away is normally pretty grubby as well. But I say the only probably example I've got is a fan, I think, screening it was saying you should be giving your wages to charity. And I was just like, oh God, he was probably on more money than me, but I was just like, I didn't really know how to take it, so I just kind of like turned me in and walked off. But and I think little thing when they say, oh, we pay your wages, well, yeah, they do, but they get a service for that as well. Like they actually do come and watch a game. It's not like you just give them money and we just walk off with it. Like you do get a service for paying players' wage. You get to watch rugby every weekend. You get to watch your team play every weekend. And as you know, with the lockdown and stuff, people have struggled without rugby to watch their teams. People have struggled. So yeah, you do pay our wage, but there is a service to that. You do actually get to watch a game of rugby.
John, the game was very different, as you said, when you were not playing at Wilderspool, the Boulevard.
Boulevard.
Oh, I mean, you must have some memories of some seriously intimidating places from your time playing.
Yeah, Boulevard was real bad. Salford through that red fence as you're coming out there at the Willows. That was a shocker.
Did that?
Probably was, yeah. Probably was. Yeah, there's a few different places there. Cass. It was a bit too on top back then. And then when I went to Leigh, Whitehaven away that was ridiculous. It got a bit tasty. Just as you walk into the sheds at the bottom end in the corner there, I remember getting stitched up. I busted my eye and needed some stitches. I come off and walking down with the doctor. I've never seen as many coins and cans and all kinds being thrown at us, just off getting some stitches. But that's the way it was then. I love all that. I think it was, it adds to the game day experience as well.
Don't sound very fun to me. Sounds horrendous.
It's good getting ripped into each other because that passion you had for your team, and it's same with the fans as well. They're just passionate. I know Ryan's on about Featherstone there, but their fans are absolutely brilliant. It took them a bit of time to come round to me, from being from Lancashire. But they were absolutely brilliant. Reminded me of the Leigh fans, just real passionate and follow you everywhere.
It is like that the lower down you get, I find. That, yeah, the crowds aren't as big, but they're just the core followings, aren't they? And none of them shut up. They're always supporting the team. It must be quite nice to player, coach, whoever, to be involved in that, actually.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's well, when I was at Swinton, they got a co-out there of 400-500, and they went home and away. Didn't matter where.
There's that fan. Is it
what?
Who's the fan? He's not missed a game for about 45 years, I think.
Would that be Spelly?
Yes. Not missed a game for all the years.
Yeah, he's nuts. Yeah. Good bloke, like, just a bit bonkers.
Just before we wrap up, we've got about 5 minutes left. Loads of time everyone's got at the minute. Heard about you training to become a professional athlete again, John, and Ryan. You've found a new best friend in Dan Carter. What have you been able to do at home in your spare time beyond that? Start with you, Ryan.
No, nothing. I'm not good around the house, me, at all. I'm useless. So it's just been training, really, for me. Just meeting up with one of Duffy's best mates, Adam Migson, the Horsehead. So he's been, honestly, all he's done is whinge about how many sessions I have to do. He's saying, Duff thinks we're already in Super League. He's doing this to us, making us do this, making us do that. So I've just been kind of meeting up with him and filming his sessions for him. So when he said he's not videoing him, he is videoing him. He's just not sending him.
I'm sick of that, lad.
He's had some memorable moments, hasn't he, during his career? I remember his first stint at Leigh. I've never seen anyone have as many fights in my life.
Do you know what, though? Off the pitch, he's a great lad. He's an absolutely great lad. He mithers me to death, but he's a great lad. But he just has explosions.
I remember. I mean, people don't realise how good a player he is, do they? Because he's had a great career. I know he's played a lot in the Championship and done really, really well. But everyone remembers that magic weekend moment, don't they? I think, was it Gareth O'Brien he took out?
Did a backwards somersault, didn't he, Gaz?
Yeah. Ryan, you'll have played with them together at Toronto. What were the interaction between them two after he'd effectively tried to kill him?
It was hilarious. Yeah, they actually both get on really well. They actually both go golfing together quite a bit. So they actually get on really well with each other. So yeah, it was daft. Like I think every week in the training we always just play on the big screen. AJ taking his head off, but AJ still tells me there was no intent in it. It was a closed fist.
He says that every week though. I didn't mean that. Honestly, that wasn't me. That he said something to me 2 tackles before, and I thought, right, I'm having him.
How? I mean, it's, to be fair, that first stint you had at Leigh, Ryan, I think John, you'll have still been in and around the club. I think it was when Paul Rowley was in charge, and there was Adam Migson, there was Sam Barlow. Who else were in that team? It was just fight, wasn't it? How did you survive that team, Ryan?
Unfortunately, my laces were always undone when it ever kicked off. So I was just tying my shoelace and while I was kicking. And by the time I'd finished, it had already calmed down, so I was all right.
That was him waving his flag coming on.
Yeah, get me off.
I'm not surprised. I mean, those and there were more. I just can't think off the top of my head. But those two were every week, weren't they? I remember there was that one brawl with Halifax when Dane Manning absolutely wiped out Sam Barlow, and it kicked. I mean, that was going on every week, nearly, wasn't it?
Yeah, that year was crazy. Just the amount of idiots we had in that team, just absolute bonk dogs. So I think obviously Liam Kay and Tommy Goulding were just idiots every week, just end up scrapping with everybody. So it was, looking back now, it was daft, but you just kind of think at the time it's just kind of normal, don't you? And I just, here we go again. And then we added Gaz Octet team year after. Yeah, so it wasn't going to get any better, was it? So, but yeah, just funny times, and obviously a lot of memories I can kind of take back off my career, and them will be the most fondest.
No black eyes though, because you were as far away from that as possible.
Nowhere near.
Gents, I'm going to have to wrap it up there. It's absolutely flown by this. Thank you so much for spending your morning, especially you, Ryan, because you've taken a fair amount of grief there. Thank you for watching. We're going to have a week off. We will be back soon. In the meantime, follow us on Twitter @RLBackChat, and we're back with another episode very, very soon. Take care.